All right. Welcome back. We are real excited to be with you today for the first time in 4 months, 100 plus days since March 11th. We actually get to talk basketball games as opposed to basketball news, right?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
It doesn't get any better than this for fans, and we're fans. We are Peach Basket. We are fans of the game. We are the voice of the fan. And after talking about, we've been talking about the bubble, and we've been talking about what ifs. We've been talking about new additions. We finally get to talk game. Now, the games were scrimmages. They don't count. But there's a lot, I think, when we look at the Lakers and the Clippers and their 3 games, Gianni and I are going to kind of discuss what surprised us. We're going to discuss what concerns us. And then we're going to go back to a topic that we have been talking about a lot, kind of as we prep for the bubble games. And that is, who's the LA favorite to win it all? I know, Gianni, you've been consistent. I think I've been consistent. Have the 3 games that we've seen so far change your mind? So let's start, number one, with what surprised us. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off, and then I'll kick it to you. First thing I want to kind of say is we want to talk specifically about the Clippers and the Lakers specifically, but I was really surprised at the level of play overall. Every game I saw, these guys, I mean, they stayed in shape. For the most part, they look good. These were not horrible games. These weren't garbage games. These were good games. The games were played with passion, and that's not just true for the Lakers and the Clippers, but every game I watched. That kind of surprised me because I really thought it was going to take 2-3 games for guys to get their legs. I don't think that's necessarily true. Everybody looked good, which I think is good for the game. And I was also pleasantly surprised, just again, general observation, by the fact that the games were engaging. Gianni, you and I talked a lot about how, in my opinion, no crowds, no home court, piped in, crowd noise, all that stuff was going to really deteriorate the game. I thought it was going to be not as fun to watch, but I mean, from the get-go, from the tip, from game one, I was engaged, man. The games were fun. The guys were into it. The level of play was good. I'm still not digging the crowd noise. Today's game, they put Zoom. It kind of looked like you and I watching the game, on the big screen.
The Zoom fans in there.
Right. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been a little critical about stuff like that, but people keep pushing back and tell me, listen, they're just trying stuff. And I get that. But I thought that was kind of weird. But overall, gameplay, phenomenal. Really excited. Before I kick it off and start talking about specific things that the Lakers surprised me about, did you have any kind of general observations about the gameplay so far?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if it's just because I've been missing basketball so much or what the deal was, but it was just awesome to see him play. They came out. Some dudes like Jokic, it looks like he's in better shape, which I don't know what's going on there. We got some, but players look fresh. They look ready, and I mean, it felt like a scrimmage to me. It did. It felt like a pro-am summer league thing, but there's really nothing you could do about that with no fans. Like you said, they're going to try their best to pipe in the crowd noise, get the digital fans and stuff. But I think once the actual competition ramps up, then it'll start to feel even more like a basketball game. So
right.
I would just have to have it back. Looking at highlight, it was good to have highlights back again. It feels real now. It didn't feel real. And, it didn't feel real until it actually happened.
Right.
To me.
No, agreed. And I want to be real clear. The one problem I had, and I'm sure they're going to get it right, but this is the very first game. So this is probably the first time they tried pipe. I think it was the second game, not the first, but they piped in crowd noise, and LeBron had a breakaway dunk and he windmilled it. LeBron doesn't do these things without a little bit of flair. And it was a Laker home game, supposed to be. And all you heard from the crowd noise was groan, and it was just so raw, it was just so wrong but again, I tweeted, I didn't like it. People pushed back, and I get it. They'll get it right. But all right, let's kind of get into specifics now for the Lakers specifically. Ken, I'll kick it over to you. I was really surprised at how good Dion Waiters looked. I remember seeing him in Cleveland. I didn't watch him much in Miami. I heard the news. I heard he was a bit of a cancer. He had issues, but man, he's playing really, really well. I think overall, losing Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo is really going to hurt the Lakers. But if they can get Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith to do the offensive stuff they're doing, and then get Danny Green, KCP, and Caruso to kind of hunker down the defense, they might be okay. It's still a bit of a concern, but Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith were crucial. It was crucial for them to play well, for the Lakers to really have a legitimate chance, I thought, because they were really short at the guard side. At guard play, they lost too much, but these guys came through, man. And I was really, really surprised. Dion Waiters was consistent. J.R. Smith, not so much, but today he led the team with 20 points. And, I'm proud to admit that we coined a great name for the duo. Dion Waiters, they call him Philly Cheese. In the bubble, they're calling him Bubble Cheese. J.R. Smith has always been J.R. Swish. So I'm just tweeting and I'm like, okay, man, this duo from now until forever is called Swish Cheese.
Perfect.
Boom. You're welcome.
I love it.
So
I love it.
Swish Cheese with 30 points tonight. No, pardon, 38 points tonight, and really looked good doing it. So that to me, it was a very pleasant surprise that I saw in the Lakers 3 games. What'd you notice?
I don't know about a surprise, but LeBron looked fresh. He looked like the most explosive dude on the court. He had like a steal and a breakaway, and no one's catching him. So the 4 months of just like recouping and stuff seemed to really help Bron. It looks like the Lakers are having fun too, man. They're getting hyped. They're throwing alley-oops. That's always good to see. As far as like JR and Dion goes, I mean, with them, it's just, you never know. It's hit or miss. Dion could drop 30. He could drop 0 in a game, Mm-hmm. What you're saying about the offense and defense thing too, it's all true. Like they seem to have like 2 really good offensive guys, 2 really good defensive guys. And then Danny Green can kind of go back and forth, but I don't know if there's anyone that they can trust to play both sides. So I'm curious to see what goes on in like a crunch time lineup. It's probably just going to be who's got the hot hand, which is kind of nice. If Dion has a hot hand, you leave him in. JR, you leave him in, kind of thing. So, but I mean, it just seems like Bron's on a mission. We kind of knew he would be, but to see him like re-energize and looking like the most athletic dude on the court again, that was the thing that stood out to me the most.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I got to eat a little crow on that because I've said more than once that LeBron at 35 was going to take a little while to get his legs. Nah, he is who we all think he is. He's just spectacular. Yeah, he looks fresh, man. He looks ready to go. And you bring up a really good point regarding the really good offensive side and the really good defensive side. I think what Vogel might do is try a mixture of having KCP to defend or Danny Green to defend with Dion, so you have one guy who kind of is really good both, or one thing, right? You get your defender, you got your offensive guy, and really feed the hot hand, like you said. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think the Lakers have a huge advantage because these 8 games, they got to win 2 or 3, I think, to solidify playoff spots. So they don't have to win them all. They can continue to experiment with their lineup. So I think we'll see a lot of that. All right, let me jump into the Clippers. Same kind of thing as far as a surprise. Watching the Clippers, I was really surprised by Yannick Noah. These are the new guys, right? These are the guys that we thought, at least I thought, we're going to take some time to integrate. Dion Waiters is looking good. J.R. Smith is looking good. Yannick Noah is looking really good. And the Lakers really need him because Trez is out. Now he's back, but he had to leave for a while. Zubats was out. So they really needed him. They started him. But he's been playing really good. He's exactly what you'd expect from a veteran big. He doesn't make mistakes. He gets the boards. His passing is really good. I had to laugh today. Brian Siemens said it was kind of a last second shot. Noah had the ball and he chucked it up. And Seaman goes, awkward shot by Noah. And my reply is like, man, every shot Noah takes is an awkward shot. Yeah. So it would be news if it said, wow, that was a nice stroke by Noah. But that aside, he looks really good. And I think great pickup for the Clippers, who were already stacked. So that was my surprise call out for the Clippers. What'd you got? What'd you see?
Same. I'm kind of going how I did the Lakers. I'm kind of looking more towards the stars, and it's the same thing. PG looks healthy, and I don't know if he was healthy at all during the season, but those months to recoup his shoulders and stuff, he's looking kind of like old PG, and that's scary.
Yeah, it is.
That's scary.
Yeah, the thing with the Lakers and the Clippers, and those are the teams we've concentrated on all season, honestly, for the last 3 seasons. What's ultimately scary about them is they've got 2 absolute studs, right? In AD and LeBron and PG and Kawhi. And if those 4 guys, collectively on their teams are clicking and healthy, man, they're unstoppable. And getting to watch them both fight for that final spot is going to be really, really, really exciting. Let's hope we get to see it. All right, let's jump now then to concerns. We had 3 games to watch both teams. I'll start with the Lakers. And I kind of alluded to this a little bit. They lost Avery Bradley, who is a really good defender and having a really good season. The Lakers do not beat the Clippers in the last season before the restart without Avery Bradley. I think he had 20 some odd points. That's obviously not his game. He's not going to light it up. But he's going to defend. He can't have a game when he hits 15, 20 or contributes 15, 20 points. He's a good player. He's not there. Rondo, believe it or not, this kind of shocked me, but he leads the guards, the Laker guards in defensive rating. It's so, again, that's what you typically see from vets. They're savvy. They know how to defend. And I'm not a big Rondo fan. I think playoff Rondo is, long gone. But you can't deny the numbers. He was leading the team in defensive rating. Bradley was having a great defensive season. I'm concerned about their backcourt. Certainly, Swiss cheese looks good. They're going to put up points, but it doesn't matter, right? Because you got to stop the other side. And so, when I look at this team, I think that Caruso's got to come through. Caruso's got to play big minutes and got to defend like we know he can. KCP's got it. He's a good defender, but he's got to defend with some consistency. And of course, Danny Green, I think he's the one consistent player here. But yeah, Caruso, ups and downs. KCP defensively, ups and downs. And then you got the 2 newcomers who could certainly light it up. But like you said, next game, man, we might not see him. And ultimately, that's a concern for the Lakers. Guard play for sure. But then, I think they've got 3 players like that. I think Dion can go for 20 and be, invisible the next day. So can J.R. Smith. So can Kyle Kuzma. Now, you get all 3 of these guys hitting on all cylinders. Nobody's going to beat the Lakers. But I just don't think we've seen that consistency for these guys, and that's a concern for the Lakers. What do you see as a point of concern for purple and gold?
I'm kind of right there with you. Who are the 5 players that you're going to trust in crunch time in the finals if you're the Lakers? I don't see a cohesive 5. Bron, AD can carry you far, but if you're playing against someone like the Clippers and the duos kind of cancel each other out, then you're going to go to the next guys. And I just don't see the Lakers having a cohesive 5 that can play D, that can score, and the Clippers are just deeper if we're going to compare, if we're comparing those teams. And you're talking about like a backcourt downgrade from Rondo and Avery Bradley, which isn't the most high tech backcourt to begin with. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about a downgrade from that. So yeah, I'm worried about the backcourt. I'm worried about the cohesiveness. It's just a lot of streaky guys with Bron, AD, and Danny Green. Those are 3 guys you can trust. And then the rest is just all kind of wild cards. So, if they get hot for 4 games, they can win it all. But you need that to happen. You're kind of taking a gamble every game.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Lakers. There's ifs, right? If LeBron, LeBron's a solid. There's no if around AD, but if KCP can defend and contribute, if Kyle Kuzma has a breakout game and hit 6 out of 7 threes, like I think he did in the second scrimmage, if J.R. Smith can contribute, there's ifs, and I don't disagree with you, man. If all of that happens, I don't see anybody beating the Lakers, but they just haven't. Those players haven't proven that they can do it consistently. Which takes us to the Clippers. Our focus is these two LA teams, the best teams in the association for my money, and they both happen to be here, which is pretty exciting for us. And I hate to do this to the Clippers and to Clipper Nation, but when I look at this team, I don't see a whole lot of concerns, man. I mean, Lou Williams is out. He's going to miss a game or two, I think, of the 8 because he had to have his wings, and you can't fault a man for having –
100%.
A wing itch that he had to scratch. He did his thing, and it cost him 2 games. But this is the thing about the Clippers, man. You lose somebody like Williams, 6th man of the year, 3-time winner. Likely going to be top 5 in the category this year. And you bring in somebody like Reggie Jackson, who's a veteran presence who isn't that caliber necessarily, but he's a good player, and he's going to fill that gap. These guys don't have a weakness, man. When you look at them, I just don't see a weakness. I think the biggest concern for the Clippers is health, which is a concern for everybody. But, when you look at their backcourt, it's solid. Their defenders, when you look at their front court, it's stacked. You can make an argument that, Zubac as a center is not necessarily, proven entity. He's not a stretch 5. He's not going to hit. Oh, right on, man. Rosie Baseball, appreciate that tip very much. I found out today you got to pay to be able to leave those tips. So that means a lot to us, man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Very much so. So that's probably the only thing we could look at. But then, when you sit Zubac, you got somebody like Yannick Noah. You got somebody like Montrezl Harrell, who will likely win the 6th man of the year. So it's hard pressed, man, to find a weakness outside of, complacency, which I just don't think the Clippers, know how to be complacent. And really just health. And I read today that when you look at the Clippers guys, Kawhi, PG, their stars, Patrick Beverly, these are guys that weren't high draft picks. These are guys that weren't, big college stars necessarily. These weren't the guys like LeBron, even AD. These guys have had to scrimp and save and work hard. And I'm not saying that makes them any better than LeBron or AD. I'm not saying that, but there's a mentality that comes when you have to work hard to get where you are. And the Clippers have that, I think, collectively. And I just don't see I feel like I'm copping out, but I don't see a big weakness. Did you spot any?
I mean, for me, there's 2 things. Cohesiveness. Are they going to be able to get their groove? People missing games. People have brought that up for the whole season. It hasn't really bothered me. Like, I think they'll be fine when they're on the court. Just get your best dudes on the court. They'll figure it out. The only thing for the Clippers is maybe their seeding. They might have a little tougher road to the Western Conference Finals. They got to play Luka. If Dallas stays at 7, you're playing Luka. Then you could potentially play the Nuggets, who I think people are sleeping on as well, who are a tough matchup. So, I mean, they're going to have a tough road to the finals. But if their guys are healthy and their guys are playing at their peaks, I don't see anybody touching them.
Yeah. Great point in terms of, matchups. I think everybody in the West is going to have a rough road. But you're right. The Clippers right now, when you look at who's ahead of them, they could get bumpy. I think these next 8 games, there's going to be some shuffling. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But let's talk about that as it relates to the Lakers, because I think that, and we've talked about this as well, that Portland's going to take that 8th spot. I just think, they got, I forget his name, man, the big that messed up his ankle really bad. But they got him back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yusef Nurkic.
Boom. They got him back. I didn't know he was coming back. So all of a sudden, this team that was already dangerous and already has got a guy in Dame Lillard with a chip on his shoulder. Now they got the team back, and I think they're going to be dangerous. I think they're going to get the 8th spot, and I think they're going to give the Lakers some trouble. I don't think the Lakers they're going to be tested by the Blazers. I don't necessarily think the Blazers are going to beat them, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that go 6-7 games. So seeding is important for sure. But yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty interesting first round matchup should the Blazers get there. This isn't something, and I hate to kind of throw this on you, but we're making good time, and you brought up something that I had a conversation with somebody else about today. So I want to bounce this off of you. We talked about the chemistry, the cohesiveness of the Clippers as a concern. One of the things that I see on NBA Twitter a lot, and I get it, but it kind of is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, is, when you see the players on the bench just rooting for each other, and you see afterwards that they're playing together, little ping pong, they're hanging out, and people love to say, "Oh man, look at that camaraderie, man. These guys love each other. It's fun to watch." And as a fan, you want your team to, like each other. It's good. And I think there's certainly some advantage of liking the guy you're playing with on the court. But, I think back to Shaq and Kobe, who, listen, a ton of respect between the two of them, of course, but we know they almost came to blows, right? When they were out there winning championships. I'd rather have teams that play well together over teams that, have this chemistry, right? I think it's great, obviously, to have both, but there have been a ton of teams, I'm sure, that didn't necessarily like each other. I know it happens a lot in baseball. The Oakland A's of yesteryear were famous for brawling. The Yankees that won World Series, they didn't like each other, man, but they won. So I'd rather have a team that wins over a team that likes each other. And so when I see all of that on Twitter, it just kind of bugs me, because I don't see. I think at the most, it might give you a game out of 82. It's not necessary. There are teams that liked each other that never made the playoffs. There's teams that hated each other and won it all. No big deal. Just a bit of a pet peeve. What do you think?
No, I think you said it all. You were preaching right there. I'm right there with you. I mean, getting along off the court is great. Does it translate to wins? I don't think so. Give me the best players who play well together on the court. I could care less if they like each other off the court. It's nice. But I mean, I was watching the Jazz scrimmage today. There's supposed beef between Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. I saw D Mitchell make a nice bounce pass to Gobert. As long as you're still passing the ball and making the right basketball plays, it really doesn't matter how you feel about the dude off the court if you're still playing ball together. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Boom. And it is about maturity, right? Because I remember back, this is probably 10, 15 years ago, God, maybe longer, but Stephon Marbury played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was their star. And then Kevin Garnett, gets drafted, plays really well. And I might be getting the order wrong, but at some point they were playing together, and these two had an opportunity to be a great duo in the NBA. But what happened was KG ended up signing a contract that ended up making more money than Marbury. So Marbury is like, and this talks about maturity. Marbury's like, how am I going to pass him the ball? I'm not going to pass him the ball. He doesn't. He makes more money than me, and he was put off by the fact that this guy earned more money than him. And then basically, obviously, they got rid of Marbury. He went to China and had some success, and KG became, who he is. And so at the end of the day, it's maturity. When you're out there and you don't like the player, but he's wide open, he's going to win you a game, you're going to pass him the ball. It doesn't matter if you like him or not, man. I just think it matters. Right on. Okay, let's finish with this. And again, you've been real consistent. I think I've been consistent, but let's talk about it now. We've had 3 games to kind of assess both teams. Which of the LA teams, the Lakers or the Clippers, do you see as the favorite to win it all? Or, let's in memory of Tony, who could be with us today, who loves to drop bombs on us, is there some other team that is your favorite to win it all? What do you got? I'll let you start and then I'll finish up.
I mean, like you said, I've been Clips since the beginning of the year. I don't see any reason to pick against them. PG looks better than he has in the past. I think they'll be fine. I'm sticking with the Clips. If I was going to give 2 sleeper teams, though, Denver. I think a lot of people sleep on Denver. Denver has the potential to maybe make some noise. And out of the East, this is going to be a little surprising. Philly. I think Philly is sneaky.
Really?
I think Philly's sneaky if they can get their stuff together, just with their length and their defense. and having Embiid, who can be the best player on the court in a given game or a given series, and Simmons, who's shooting threes now, you know what I mean? If he unlocks something, like they're at the beginning of the season, like I penciled them in from the East and the Clippers in from the West, and Philly's been kind of disappointing. But if they can get their stuff together, I think they can make some noise out of the East too. So those are my two sleepers. But I mean, I put money on the Clips at the beginning of the season. I'm not worried about it. I've already spent that money. I'm good. So nice. I got the Clips.
Right on. Yeah, I'm with you, man. They just look unstoppable right now. I think the only way that this team doesn't at least make it to the finals is if they implode somehow. We talked about health. If something happens, if there's, another trip to Wing Central, it wasn't Wing Central, it wasn't Wingstop. But if he can't help himself and Lou's got to go out there and grab some more, there's things that we don't know about, of course. But all things being equal, every player healthy, every player playing, Clippers don't have a weakness, man. And I just don't think anybody in the West or the East could beat them. Right on. Well, that's everything, man.
Jose, did you have a sleeper? Someone you're looking at.
Yeah. And I thought, as you were saying it, I had to think to myself, who's my sleeper team? I don't really know. I don't think anybody in the West is going to be good enough to get past either one of the LA teams. So I'm kind of thinking out loud here. Now, I don't see anybody doing it. The only team that, and I don't like them, I'm not a fan of this team, but, Houston intrigues me. But again, I just don't think that they can beat the Lakers or the Clippers in the 7-game series. So for me, it really is about the East. Whoever gets to the East, or whoever makes it through the East and plays, either the Lakers or the Clippers, can they beat this team? Milwaukee beat the Clippers. Milwaukee beat the Lakers. So you'd be silly to think that they couldn't do it. Milwaukee has a chance. I think Eric Bledsoe I don't think he's back, and he's a key cog for that team. So, certainly the Bucks, but that's not a sleeper, I think the only team, if you're pushing me and you kind of are, and I appreciate it, Toronto. I'll hang my hat on Toronto. Toronto's the defending champions. It matters. It means something. They want to prove, that they're good without Kawhi. I think what's going to hurt Toronto most is that they don't get to play in Toronto. Playing there is crazy. Those fans are unbelievable, and they're going to lose that, so that might hurt them a little bit. But Toronto would scare me because they're a team without a superstar, and those teams don't often win in the NBA, but it's happened before. And we saw the Washington Nationals in baseball last season win the World Series with when they had absolutely no chance to do it. This is a weird year. This is a weird season. So if you get the Raptors in against either LA team and they get hot and they know they're the champs, this is their crown to take, that would be scary. So there's my sleep.
I like it.
Right on.
I like it.
All right, man. Well, great. This is fun. We appreciate all of you that joined and listened in. We appreciate all of you. Thank you. We are going to be recapping every game. At least that's the intent. Life's going to get in the way sometimes. We'll likely miss one or two, but we're going to try to come on and talk after every Lakers and Clippers games. Certainly the 8 and then well into the playoffs because we know both are going to make it and probably have nice long runs. So we'll be back Thursday when we finally get to see the Lakers and the Clippers in a battle. Let me leave you with that. Who's going to win that game, Lakers and Clippers, on Thursday? Lakers without Lou. Clippers without Lou Williams. And the Lakers pretty much healthy, except without the two guards we talked about. Who do you think is going to take that win?
I think Braun's going to come out and try to make a statement. All eyes on him. He's not shy with the cameras. He's going to make a statement. He's going to come out. I'm going to say the Lakers in the first game.
Okay. And I'm going to pick the Clippers just to be honorary. All right. Okay. We'll be back and see. All right. So we'll talk about it Thursday. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you. All right, John.
Voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's is money. You can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Beach Basket. Up to up-to-date sports, post-game reports, debates and play-by-play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket, coming tune on air. The Peach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the average fans.